that in the live? Well, that's okay then. All right, we're all right then. Satnam Sri WhyGuru. Ek oankar Satnam Karta Purkh Nirbhau Nirvair Akal Mੂਰਤ Ajuni Saibhang Gur Prasad Jap ਆਦ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਇਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ ਆਦ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਇਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ ਆਦ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਇਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ ਆਦ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਇਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ ਆਦ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ 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 ਗਿਆਨ ਧਿਆਨ ਕਿਛ ਕਰਮ ਨ ਜਾਣਾ ਸਾਰ ਨ ਜਾਣਾ ਤੇਰੀ ਸਭ ਤੇ ਵੱਡਾ ਸਤਿਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਜਿਨ ਕਲ ਰਾਖੀ ਮੇਰੀ ਸਭ ਤੇ ਵੱਡਾ ਸਤਿਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਜਿਨ ਕਲ ਰਾਖੀ ਮੇਰੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। So Baban rang me and we were discussing topics of trying to squeeze me in for 2 weeks. And in the conversation, a talk I did 10 years ago at TWGC came up, and that was this talk, but it's completely changed. So the slides from there to today have changed completely. And, actually I won't go into that. I was going to give some personal information on a Parchar who was in the room at the time, but I won't do that. Anyway, so back then, 10 years ago, it was actually the 350 years of the foundation of Anandpur Sahib. So the actual city. So Sri Guru Tegh Bahadur purchased the land for Sri Anandpur Sahib 350 years ago then. And so the talk we did back then was this as well. So you're homecoming to Sri Anandpur Sahib. So let's just bring it up to date with today in terms of what's going on now. So the of Sri Guru Gobind Singh 350 years was a few weeks ago. Shaheed Sri Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib 350 years, that's this year as well, a few weeks ago as well. So all of these events are linked to our home, Sri Anandpur Sahib. So if you looked at the coverage from India, they had the Delhi programs, but then they had programs at Anandpur Sahib as well, because a lot of the history around both these events is linked to Anandpur Sahib as well. So I've put on there our home. How many of you have been to Anandpur Sahib in the room? Oh, nearly everyone. All right. The ones who didn't put their hands up, have you been to India? No? So the ones who haven't been to Anandpur Sahib. You've been to India, but you haven't been to Anandpur Sahib. Okay. All right. This is clarification. That's fine. So when you take Amrit, you are told that from now on, from this day on, you are Anandpur Devasi is the term that they use. So that means you're actually from Anandpur Sahib, or you live at Anandpur Sahib. So that's the theoretical proposition that's put to you when you take Amrit. So when you take that Amrit, you're giving your head to take the Amrit. So whatever the Panj Pyare say back to you, you're supposed to accept. Yeah? So me included, as an Amritari, on every trip that I go to India, I don't necessarily go to Anandpur Sahib. Let me be clear about that, yeah? I try my best to go Madhya at least, but I don't necessarily go every time. So the question to all of us, and even if you're not Amritari, you should be building up to Amrit, and all these concepts you should be trying to implement anyway. So it's not a get-out clause that you're not Amritari and you can't behave. So you still wear a kara, don't you? You still do certain things because you call yourself a Sikh. So it's not a get-out clause. This is not just relevant to the Amritaris. Let's be clear about that, yeah?
So the main reason for doing this, for saying that you belong to Anandpur Sahib, is to relinquish your previous background. So your name might be Jaswant, I don't know, Sagu. I was going to say Khalra, but that doesn't work here. So let's say Jaswant Sagu, yeah, Jaswant Bains. So that's why you're given the name Singh and Kaur to abolish that. But then on top of that, your name of your family, your goat, also links to your bend usually. And so that's actually to say that's all destroyed today, and you actually belong to Anandpur Sahib. So theoretically, all of your efforts from that day on when you take Amrit are supposed to be in support of that home and the philosophy of that home. So all of us need to reflect on how we're building the foundations of Anandpur Sahib, or if we're cutting our case, how we're breaking the bricks of Anandpur Sahib as a opposite. And if we go against anything in Sikhi, how are we going against Anandpur Sahib as well? So if we're getting into disputes, for example, let's say, yeah, your Taya Chachi have land in India, and then someone kills each other over the land. That happens, don't it? Yeah, we've all heard the stories of that. It's less prevalent now, but if you go to India, you still get stories of that happening. So if we're supposed to be Anandpur Sahib, their Vasi, we're also supposed to follow the lead of the leader of Anandpur Sahib, Sri Guru Gobind Singh. So Anandpur Sahib Foundation, laid by Sri Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib. So it's called Chak Nanaki, after their mother, Mata Nanaki. Original name for Anandpur Sahib. It's called Chak Nanaki, and then it was renamed as Anandpur Sahib. From the 350 years, you should know all this information, but let's just refresh. Yeah? So the Kashmiri Pandits come here to Anandpur Sahib. The journey of Sri Guru Tegh Bahadur to Delhi starts from Anandpur Sahib. The messages that come from Delhi back to Anandpur Sahib are sent by courier, by Gursikhs, backwards and forwards between the 2 points. And then Guru Sahib's cease comes from Delhi to here, to Anandpur Sahib as well. And then the cremation of that cease is done on Anandpur Sahib as well, cease Gandhi, Anandpur Sahib. The 350th Gurgaddi Divs. So this is on this artistic depiction. I took that from the Guru Granth Sahib Academy in Malaysia, so you can get a lot of PowerPoints off their Telegram channel, but hardly anyone's on there. Yeah, so there's about 60 people who look at those. Yeah, but it's basically a treasure trove of information. So if you ever need to do a talk, you could just steal one of their PowerPoints. That's how easy it is. Yeah. So I took this photo from there. Yeah, but from this, what they're saying is that's actually Baba Guru Ditta's grandson. I think is Bhai Ram Koirana, Baba Guru Baksh Singh. So he's actually a descendant of Baba Buddhaji. So Baba Buddhaji's and Baba Buddhaji's descendants all did the tilak, the Gurgaddi process or the ceremony. So that's him as I think it's a 2 or 3 year old anointing Guru Gobind Singh. So even there's a debate in Guru Gobind Singh's 9 years old or 10 years old, yeah, at that point. But the anointment is done by him, by Sri Guru Tegh Bahadur's orders from Delhi. So if when you looked at the dates, the Gurgaddi occurs first before the Shahidi. So the Gurgaddi tilak is sent beforehand. And that happens also with Panjmi Pasha. So Panjmi Pasha Shahidi happens afterwards, but Shema Pasha's Gurgaddi is first. That happens first. But Miri Piri Devs comes afterwards. And so Guru Gobind Singh, how did he prove that he's worthy of the Gurgaddi, let's say, to become the 10th Guru? So the first thing he did was he said his father should give Shahidi when the Kashmiri Pandits came. That was his first public display of readiness. Obviously Guru Gobind Singh from birth had Girba anyway, you know? The sloks, the answers, that Sri Guru Gobind Singh sent back to Sri Guru Tegh Bahadur when they asked. So when the Dora comes, Sri Guru Gobind Singh sends a reply in those Doras. So some of the Srups have parts and Rasmi there as well. So the Gurgaddi was sent after that Dora was sent to Delhi. So that's how it was done. And then the ceremony conducted and the cease arrives at Anandpur Sahib. So the cease arrived by Jeta, by Jeevan Singh to Kirtpur Sahib. And when he got to Kirtpur Sahib, so actually Guru Tegh Bahadur used to live at Kirtpur Sahib. So Shema Pasha as well, when they left Amritsar, they actually made a Gurdwara called Tat Sahib at Kirtpur Sahib. So from Shema Pasha's time to the 9th Guru, he was a focal point to the Sikhs, Kirtpur Sahib. So it's from Kirtpur Sahib, the Sikhs received and then taken to Anandpur Sahib. So in terms of our homecoming, bringing it back to this topic of tonight, it might finish early by the way as well, because you know what I'm like. Physical, so in terms of physical homecoming, we are physical beings, live in a physical world and in a physical body which interacts five elements, our jnanendriya, our sensory organs, our processing of our mind, which is in our physical body as well, in terms of our brain. Spiritual disciplines as a Sikh, so what would that be in terms of your homecoming? Mental, intellectual, how should I mentally, intellectually develop? So we call the intellect the buddhi. If your buddhi isn't thickened or sharp, then you cannot understand certain profound concepts. So our point is to do Simran, and through learning that your buddhi, your intellect becomes sharpened, so that in the future your decision making is based upon Gurmat and not Manamat. So the more you practice, your buddhi goes to the right decision. If your buddhi doesn't even know that it's a path, you can't go there, can you? So you just think it's okay to do this, whatever it may be, between the yes and no. So the physical world, how do we interact with it? So there's a little globe there, but what is our physical world in terms of what our interactions are? So someone might say, my home, my manor. Yeah, who's got a house like that? Anyone? One person. No, you haven't. You live on Stratford Road, bro. Yeah. Stagely. Anyway. So, would you all want a house like this? Yes or no? Put your hands up, yes. There's too many liars in this room. This one. No, I can't see it. I would like a house like that, I'm not going to lie. Yeah? So we're conditioned to have creature comforts. Yeah? Most of you go to work to have creature comforts. If I could say you're going to have a Skoda or a Mercedes, I think if you had the money, you'd take the Mercedes, you wouldn't take the Skoda. Yeah? It's just common sense, isn't it? Now, some of you might actually be working to be poor. Yeah? I actually try to make myself poor. He works out half the time he doesn't, yeah? But anyway, so in terms of our lives, if you think about it, most of you poor people in the room, yeah, I'm going to have some thoughts on you all, yeah, will get educated and then get married. And then when you get married, you're going to want a few kids, and then you're going to want a house. And then once you get a house, then your whole of your life's going to be working for your kids, and then you're going to die. Yeah? That's the story of the majority of us. And all that is mostly surrounded around this concept of your home. That's what most of it rotates around, and you have to have a physical building. So in Satyug, in the age millions of years ago, when people lived to the age of 100,000, minimum age, yeah, is what the average age, average, not minimum, yeah? So when people lived to 100,000 years, they didn't actually have houses. They said, we don't live, we're permanently in the world. So ਅਸੀਂ ਕੱਚੇ ਕੋਠੇ ਬਣਾਉਣੇ ਆ. Yeah? So the concept's completely changed to Kaljug, where we are now, where we think we need a property, and we need a house, and we need land, and we need this, and we need that. So our whole life is now focused on a rat race to have these things, and we miss some of what Guru Sahib is telling us. So you all live in homes, your home, your property. If it's rental, still you'll see it as your home. Yeah? Possession, possessiveness over that home. So someone might say, you can test this on your friends, yeah, if you're willing to break their property. Yeah? So you could say, because someone might say, oh, I've got no attachment to my car. Yeah? Go and get a brick, put it through the car. Yeah? If they start screaming, you know they've got attachment to it, Hannah. But like I said, you've got to be willing to have the criminal damage charge possibly, yeah? Or pay for the thing. Yeah? So, but the thing is, most people will give it that I do not attach to this or whatever it may be. Yeah? And when you test it, it usually doesn't come around, Hannah. So your space, possibly your living room, your bedroom, your escape, your home, whatever that may be, yeah? So in your home, do you all lock your door? Does everyone lock the door? Yeah, I would do this, honestly. Yeah. And where I live down the road, I'll make sure I lock the door. But anyway, now the point is, why are you locking it? So are you locking it because you're making it secure and you're scared of an intruder, or are you locking it because you love your things inside? So the sacking of sadhus, where someone comes to rob the dera, and they say, here, the money's there, take it. Yeah. So if someone did a carjacking on your car, how would you respond? That's the question. would you say, bro, take the car, I can't be bothered, the insurance will pay for it? Yeah? Or would you be a hero and fight the guy, no, it's Sikhi, we should fight for our rights? And Guru Sahib saying relinquish it all. In reality, that's what Gurbani is telling us, isn't it? Gurbani is saying relinquish your possessiveness over the world, but then we're saying no, we're Surman, we've got to fight this guy, he's got a mask on, I need to punch him in the face. So how does that process, Anna? Because we're so conditioned to believe these things are ours. This is my car, this is my body. So when we talk about the Shahidi of the Guru Sikhs, they don't see their body belonging to them, they see it as Guru. They gave their body to Guru Sahib the day they took Amrit. So after that, the body belongs to Guru Sahib. Even their body is no longer theirs. But the biggest thing is they're giving your head, Hannah, which is your ego. So erasing that. So your treasured possessions, whatever that might be in your home, your family or vision of that family, so you get some attachment to that. Spending your life building this vision of your home and your manor, that's what, in essence, the majority of us will end up doing. And then we'll say, but Guru Sahib told us to be Grestis. Guru Sahib told us we can get married. Guru Sahib told us to have kids. Without us having kids, the Panth will not flourish. Who the hell made you in charge of making the Panth flourish with 2.4 kids? Yeah? You really think you're going to make the Panth flourish with 2.4 kids, yeah? Yeah? Because in the past, our parents and our parents' generation would have 7 kids. It was like a standard. They would have 7 kids or 8 kids. So the ratio in Punjab is decreasing, and so if you're going to use that argument, then please have 5 kids. Yeah, let's have a 5-side team in each house. Yeah, yeah, they can't get the jaluga. Yeah, but even then, you got to make sure those kids become Guru Sikhs then. So that's the bigger challenge, Anna. Anyone can make a kid, but actually making that kid stay in Sikhi is going to be a real hard challenge, Anna. So my point back to that, sorry, let me clarify, if anyone attacks me on the internet, is we leave it in Guru Sahib's hands. He's Panth Dabali. He will sort out the Panth population. Yeah, it's not our solemn duty to increase the population. Yeah, unless you want to be like that guy who made 200 kids and gave half from cancer. Yeah, there's some sperm donor the other day on the news. Yeah. So the thing is, we need to put it in Guru Sahib's hands. Guru Sahib's going to look after the Panth. He's going to sort out the population issues. Obviously, if we can contribute to that, you do. But are we doing it for Guru Sahib or are we doing it for ourselves? That's what we need to assess. So I'm not saying either way for any of us. Huh? In terms of the home, mortgage, 25 years, 35 years. If you're blessed and you're born into a decent family, you get your parents to pay for your mortgage. Yeah, or your parents buy you a house as a present. Yeah, then you might not even get into this issue of a mortgage, but you still got other issues because you used to buy and getting a brand new car all the time. So with that house, you might paint or decorate it, you might repair it, you might have a garden, etc. I've got a friend who decorated his house 3 times within 6 years. I'm talking complete renovations. Yeah, he's got silly money, but it just became ridiculous. And I said, he's like, no, I'm done now. He said, you sure? Yeah, that's like pulling out the whole kitchen again 3 times. Yeah, but he's done that. But the point is, we will all spend our time focusing on our house. So if you go to Anandpur Sahib and you see paint peeling off a Gurdwara, what are we doing for those Gurdwara? If that's our home and that's our city, our life and focus is on this home, isn't it? And that's me included. Like I said at the start, sometimes I only go once a year, if that, or sometimes on a trip I might miss it. So time, dedication and sweat of your brow to build this home. So the Guru's home, allocated for you, for all of us. So Anandpur Sahib, the history around Anandpur Sahib, which we've done a bit. Scenic, hilly region. So when you go to Anandpur Sahib, it's less so now, but in the past it used to be really quite extreme. So when you go to Gaiskar Sahib, you have to walk up the hill, don't you? But in the past, the hills used to be more prevalent, let's say. So with the roads and stuff, it's made it easier now to get around and things like that. If you take it down back to Guru Sahib's time, you'd have been complete hills everywhere. And the reason Guru Sahib did that, because Guru Sahib had war strategy, that if someone's going to attack us, we're already on a hill. The army's going to have to walk up the hill to get to us at the top. So you can shoot down. So it's very hard for them to traverse the defences. That's why they're not going to kill a wick so well. Fortune God did young. And then river water there also. So again, you've got water there. So if you need water supply, you've got that. And then the planning around that in terms of they have to come by boats and other stuff as well if you stop the bridge entry from there. It's defendable, fertile land, scenic, natural wildlife and forests. So it looks nothing like Smadik where we're sitting, yeah? Yeah? You actually want to sit there. Village of the Khalsa, birthplace of a nation, our second city now. So I say second city because most of us go out to Amritsar all the time, the Bar side. So it's become our second city, even though officially it's supposed to be our first in terms of where we live and stuff like that. So if you're worried about the future and Khalsa and things like that, buy property in Anandpur. Yeah. So after Guru Gobind Singh left, before Chumgar Gari, Maharaj said that there will be no more junks, no more wars at Anandpur from this point on in Sikh history. So if you build a house or you've got property there, it won't get destroyed. So if you really possess it and you want a house that lasts, it will last in Anandpur. Anyway, so 350 years of Anandpur, so that was 2015. So as a Sikh, what do we believe? We believe in the 10 Gurus, supremacy of Sikh Guru Granth Sahib as the eternal spiritual Guru. So you're not on your 15th Guru. You might get those people to repeat them for you, whatever it may be, yeah? We're on, our Guruship ended at Guru Granth Sahib on the Khalsa Panth. It doesn't go beyond that, yeah? So you can go to all these other sects, like we really hate certain people in our Kamul, but then we really welcome other parts of it, which actually denigrate the system that's made by the Gurus. I'll leave it at that before basically Sikhi gets in trouble, yeah? So, Maharaj Sri Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib bought the land, like we said, Jak Nanaki, and Kirpur Sahib was the previous residence of Nawe Pasha at the time, and different parts tenure before that as well, and extended periods as well. So Sri Guru Gobind Singh stayed here for 25 years, Anandpur Sahib. So there's a small remission between that period when they go to Bonta Sahib and Pangani Dijo that happens. So there's a small period in that 25 years, so it's not continuous. There's a small period where they don't. Shahidi Bagh is, so the Nihang Singh's Tanadal, Baba Joga Singh, they manage that now, but it's no longer a Bagh, so a Bagh needs a garden. So Shahidi Bagh was an area, just a garden area, that's what it was, and there's a lot of history related to that, but at the moment, because of the way we are as a Qawm, there's certain historical artifacts there, like the Degah, but other than that, the Gurdwara Sahib's there, there's a Sarovar behind as well, and there's a few Nihang Singhs who live there, and so it's quite small in terms of the Singhs that live there. But Shahidi Bagh, they've got a Pratan Langar as well, and when you go in the Pratan Langar, there's actually like a, like you're in a Hobbit movie or something like that. Yeah, there's actually like a real well from Guru Gobind Singh's time. So the Langar is actually the Langar that Guru Sahib used to use in that time as well. So it's kept it like that, the Nihang Singhs have. And only men can cook food in that Langar as well. That's how they run that Langar, the Viveki Langar. But that's just the way the Forge operates. So 5 forts were built in Anandpur Sahib, excluding Kesgar Sahib. So Kesgar Sahib, you could say there's 6, but the 5 were there. Kesgar Sahib is a bit complicated because if you look at history, when Maharaj did the Amrit Sanchar, there was a tent there. So I'm not sure if Kesgar existed at the time in that sense. So there's a tent there, but I'm not sure if the Gurdwara, when it came into being, or how it came into being, how it happens. So the 5 forts were definitely there. So these are the 5 forts. Now the pictures in this PowerPoint are 10 years old, or possibly more. So some of the Gurdwara have changed. So Apne Babbe, Dimili Ale, what's his name? Baba Jiginder Singh, yeah. So Baba Jiginder Singh's done guard save at one of these forts. So he's done the rebuild of one of them as well. So a lot of these forts got guard saver done since then, since over the last 10 years. So this is I want to say original, but so this is a photo. I don't know if I've done this in Natsmadik here before. This is a photo of Anandgarh Kila. So that's in 1934. So if you look at the photo, you can see lower levels where there's people standing, yeah, and you can see like air holes or places where there might be other lower levels, let's say, yeah. So at Anandgarh Kila, 1 second. So that's the modern part of it, yeah. So that's the top part of the Kila. So below that, so that red part is on top of there. This is all below that. So the red part is on top of there. How it works. So now what we don't know is if we can or we can't. I don't know, yeah. But the Kila is from the top to the bottom. So on the side, when you go to this, yeah, when you go to this Kila, the red one, yeah, when you go to the left of it, there'll be a staircase that starts to go down, and it's made of like cobbled stones. That staircase goes to the bottom of the hill, let's say. That's the actual ground level of the Qila. So the Qila would have actually had floors inside it. Now all of that is either lost, and if they do the excavations, they might find it. So there is other Gurdwara where they're finding buildings that still exist underneath when they do Budai. I won't say too much about that because it's going to go off on another tangent. But that's the Anandpur Qila today. So really, the Qila, if you think him in a war sense as well, if Guru Gobind Singh spent 9 months here in a siege, it wouldn't just be this, would it? The top bit, it just doesn't make sense, does it? So there's horses in there, there's people in there, there's cattle in there, there's carts in there, and even when Guru Gobind Singh leaves after the siege, Guru Sahib leaves with all these granths and the Vidyasagar Granth. So there's literally whole gadde, ladeo, so carts completely full of stuff, and then armory as well. So if you think of all of that, that was stored here in some shape or form, wasn't it? So that's the Anandpur Qila today. So when you go there, what they've done as well, when I went recently, they've actually closed some of the rooms as well, and then they've made a new fake Gurdwara opposite this, Mata Sahib Gurwan, saying that she used to live here. And anyone who's been there for the last 30 years like I have, that Gurdwara never existed. It actually used to be someone's house. And now they've made a new story, made like Rani It, put Nanak Shah It, their fake Nanak Shah It, I made a kotha there. So I asked the Prathan family, and I said, what's going on over there? And the person, I'll need to be careful what I say because I might get in trouble, but the person said to me, it used to be a family's house, and they were rich, and they moved, and they left it to the SGPC, and now the SGPC have made this fake historical site, that same Mata Sahib Gur used to do Bhakti here. That's not to say Mata Sahib Gur wasn't there, because obviously it's an Anandpur Sahib, but to make a site there to say, you know what I mean? But anyway. Qila Logar. So this has been rebuilt, I know that, so it might not look like this. So those are the original remaining sort of structures at the front. So the Gurdwara is obviously new at the back. So Logar, Lo means Loha. So it's 1.5 kilometres southwest of that Sri Gurus Sahib, second strongest Qila after Anandpur at the time. So again, we need to assess how it might have looked back then. We can't, you know what I mean? So it was used for manufacturing arms and fear of attacking as indomitable gate. So it had a huge gate onto it. And inside of that gate, the Bhai Singh comes out and spears the elephant. So the elephant Shastra, so the spear by Singh would have speared the elephant in its matha. So there's also another small Shastra which is just like literally the size of this. Literally just size of my hands, how big my hands are now, like let's say if it was an axe. And it's got a small like face on it, like 4 sides. And all you have to do with that is hit an elephant in the forehead with that and it dies. So even though the elephant's that big an animal, it's just the precision of the shot. So that's why Bhai Singh ran in. It wasn't that he was a psycho and he just thought, yeah, let's go, I'm going against an elephant. Yeah. Obviously he had Guru Gobind Singh's Thapura as well, but he knew what he was doing. He knew that's why he had to have an Agni as well, so the Agni penetrated that part of the elephant, because the elephant just freaks out then and then retreated. Qila Holgar, so some of these Qila have also got 2 names. So Holgar, Agamgar as well, right? So 1.5 kilometres as well. And Holla Mahalla 1701 was conducted here. So this is where the Holla Mahalla starts from. So northwest of Gurdwara Sahib. So Holla Mahalla is a massive gathering of Gursikhs from across the world, and especially the Nahang Singhs. So the Holla Mahalla is like war games, and the Nahang Singhs do some crazy feats at the event. But really, what Holla Mahalla was about was practicing warfare. It wasn't about some party tricks. I'm not disdaining the Nahang Singhs because I can't do nothing that they're doing there. Yeah, let's be clear. But it was supposed to be how it started with Guru Gobind Singh's time at the time anyway. It was supposed to be strategic planning for our threats and how our units are organised to fight that threat. So the mock war, the mock battles there would take place, would be to fight that threat. So whenever these Jorda Mille happen, the Panth should be discussing these issues, or what is their strategy to fight that. So whoever that may be, if whoever that armed guard is of the Panth at that point in time, Because in Sikh history, the Khalkas were the armed guard, and the different Jathebandi that came over in the last 30, 40 years, they were the ones practicing the actual life of fighting. So they were the ones using modern warfare, modern tactics, whatever they were doing. So they actually knew how to use all these things. So that's what was happening then. So for yourselves, if you got into an issue with anyone, can you even use your Kirtan? That's the first thing. Yeah, because the majority of them can't even use their Kirtan. Some of them can't even take it out the Mia, let alone anything else. Yeah. So it's like simple things like that. And that's not to say you're going to attack anyone, but for the defense, of anyone. And then after that, can you fight? Can you run 90 minutes? Are you physically fit? So all these things come into these concepts of a Guru Sikh. And then can you use modern items? If it came to it, can you use the weapon, put it off the person and shoot them? So if someone's put a pointed gun at you, can you turn it around and just shoot them back? Yeah? It's not to say you have to do these things, but you have to be ready, don't you? If a war kicks off tomorrow and you have to be enlisted in a week, are you ready for that? Yeah? So physical fitness really matters, and physical strength in terms of your own body, being able to pick up your own body. Anyway, Gila Fateh Gar side before I go off. So Sahib Baba Fateh Singh was born, and that's when it was built, so that's why it's called Fateh Gar. Outskirts of Anandpur side, army trained for 6 years here at this point, yeah? So 6 years of training. We go to a Gatka class every week and we think, yeah, yeah? We've got to learn the 10 hits or whatever it is, yeah? Do a little display, and it's organised, so you hit each other in turn, yeah? But it looks good to the sound of watching because you know what you're doing. But the thing is, if you look at the Senghs in the past, so we talk about like UFC and MMA fighting and things like that. By Fajr Singh, when he do Gatka, he'd actually put a partner over the star and tie like that. That's when he's doing Gatka. So if he actually gets into hand-to-hand combat, it doesn't come off, the star doesn't. But we've lost some of those concepts as well. So in terms of 6 years of training, they trained. So if you think of Chumkar Digari, those guys are emaciated for 9 months, Kirpa as well, but they can still fight as skeletons and still fight. So they had superhuman strength or superhuman training. So even by Jeddah, doing like a ultramarathon running from Delhi in 2 days to Anandpur side, it's no weak feat, and to also then do it while you're being hunted down, because he had to hide the seats as well.
How far is it?
Put it into Google Maps and it's probably about 150 miles. That's the guess off the top of my head. Yeah. Because if you drive from Delhi to Anandpur side, it will probably take you 6 hours. I've never done it, but yeah, I'm guessing 6 hours drive. Yeah, but it took him 2 days, I think. Kilat Naraga, so again, this has changed, so it's no longer like this, because someone just went recently and showed me some photos. So Kilat Naraga, this is the one that hardly anyone goes to. So I was lucky, my Harjinder Singh lives down the road, I don't know if he still lives here, Smelling Boy. He saw me on the other side, and he put me in his car and said, I want to take you to a Gurdwara. And I was like, okay. So he drove me to this Gurdwara, that's how I got there, or I'd never have gone there. So it's about 5 kilometres from Anandpur side, so it's on the outskirts. So this Gurdwara was used as a watch point, spying point for entry into Anandpur side. So you can see down to the river, and you can see that one road that comes into Anandpur side, you can see from there. It was used for 2 things. One was a spying point, and secondly as a point for people to do a bias. So they say 300 Brahmyanis, so 300 Guru Sikhs who one with God lived here. So at some point they all did a bias here, so they all did Simran and Bhajan here. It's still quite peaceful. They've modernised the Gurdwara and the building for it. So what most of the forts, what they did for the 350 years, they built like cobbled walls around them to make them look like forts, but the Gurdwara is still behind it, like sort of building like this. So Tara is a star, so fort of stars, because it's used for spying. That's one thing. And nighttime most spying take place, or under the cover. And then the other side is all the stars in the sky. What they actually are is people who've done bhakti, and they've been given those stars to rule over, those suns. So it's all bhakti the pratap. So that's also why it's there. But anyway, that's Sri Geskar Sahib. So that's the modern day building today of Geskar Sahib. So So there's some debate of actually, was Gaiskar Sahib really actually at that point? Some people say it's further back a bit, but it's within that complex anyway where the Amrit Jar took place. So that's the modern day building. So that's the sort of, that where the gold doors are. They open those doors sometimes to do announcements and stuff, and then directly on beyond the doors is the Takti Jaga. So that's where they say Guru Gobind Singh did the Amrit Jar, and then they've got Nishaniya Guru Gobind Singh and some other sayings from there in the Takti Jaga. So what did Vaisakhi mean? So we are sovereigns, sovereign land, Anandpur Sahib, sovereign philosophy, sovereign nation, and then those 5 forts were built over 10 years, and that the Amrit Jar takes place after those 10 years. So Guru Gobind Singh worked under a planned strategy to declare the Khalsa, because he knew as soon as I declare the Khalsa, the Hill Raja are not going to like it, because we've actually completely now decimated the caste system, because we're saying anyone can take the Amrit, and there's no caste system left within Sikhs. So each of the Parchar preached that, but the Amrit took it to a different level with the announcement of the names of Kaur and Singh, Anandpur Devasi, your Mata Pita Guru Gobind Singh, Mata Sahib Kaur. That's all your whole family, Guru Sahib's family. You're no longer, you've completely abolished all your ancestry. So after the battles, they actually leave. So the battles start soon after the Amrit Jar. So it's just before the forts are finished that Maharaj went initially to Paonta Sahib. And the reason they went to Paonta Sahib is to stop a war taking place in Anandpur Sahib, to cool it a bit. But then they had a war at Paonta Sahib, and that takes place there, the first war that they have, and then they come back. So today, what does it mean to us in terms of this philosophy and our sovereign land, sovereign philosophy, sovereign nation? Are we free? That's what we need to work on. And if we're saying this is our homecoming, are we free? So if you go to work and you obey your manager to get your pay packet, yeah, and you possibly break Sikh tenets at work because you want that money, are you a sovereign? Yeah, so some of these things are really hard in terms of our daily living. Yeah, so some people might say, so some Sikhs go around saying, oh, the British destroyed everything. The British destroyed our history, the British destroyed our way of life. And then they live in the UK and they pay taxes. So you're saying the British did all that to you, and all your Parchar on the internet is the British, the British. Stop paying taxes, bro. Fir bagawat karo. Have some revolution in you. The Gordon did it when poll tax happened and Maggie Thatcher was crying. Yeah? So that happened in the UK. Normal working people didn't pay a tax. Yeah? So if you're saying the British ruined everything against your palm and destroyed all your history, but then you're paying taxes, going to work for British Transport, you know what I mean? Whatever it may be, London Underground, yeah? And then you're preaching all this on the internet, but then it's like, make it make sense, bro. So it's like, we have to really think about how we navigate all these issues in terms of our own lives and what Guru Sahib taught us, because Guru Sahib didn't bow to any pressure. So the reason our palm, we sometimes think is in disarray, is because the leadership bows at every point and juncture. So you can't see that sort of backbone. And the Singhs in jail, they're not allowed to come out. Why? The reason they don't do the Bandi Singha di Rihai. If you think about it, it's quite simple, yeah? Why can't all the Sikh prisoners who've been in jail be transferred to Punjab? Because if they get transferred to Punjab and they get released, you know our current leadership, they're gone. They need them to stay in jail. Because if they get them out, they know they're the next people sitting on the Rajmukh. So they don't want them coming out. So if we make Hawara the Jathadar, but then we never get him transferred from Delhi to Punjab, what's all this story about? Do you know what I mean? So there's like real core issues of helping these things as well. So some of the things like don't get money in jail and want to get other things, but so the people who are actually fighting these battles sometimes are not supported. If you think about the Vyadvi Guru Granth Sahib in Punjab, if the SGPC and all the big Jathebandiyas in Punjab wanted to stop Vyadvi, they could do it in 2 days. They could easily do it. Because all they have to do is, if Vyadvi happens in a pen, say we're taking 5,000 people, 10,000 people, we're there, and we're not getting up until the Vyadvi doesn't stop. So if they do that every place, all the Jathebandiyas got together, It would not be other because the Punjab police and the Punjab government would have to start handing over the miscreants. It would happen overnight. But there's no actual motivation to do that. So it's a quite sad state of affairs when you actually scratch underneath the belly, the underbelly of what's going on. So if you look at the sovereigns were Sant Nal Singh, the sovereigns were Jindan Sukha, the sovereigns were the people who actually put their life on the line. However that may be, however they did it, you could even say Bhagat Pooran Singh, because he gave his reward back. Even though he dedicated his life to a separate cause, they still lived to their philosophy. If you live to your philosophy, you're still free, aren't you? You're not bound by anyone. And that's what it's about. So in terms of today, is it your home? Is Anandpur Sahib your home? Yeah? What's your affinity to it? Make it your hometown, come back, create your homecoming. That's what we all have to do. Anandpur Devasi, residents of. If someone asks you where your friend is, if I say Anandpur Sahib, you know the person says, oh brava, nahi main ta asli kuch na. I'm asking for the real one, not the, yeah? Because we are saying do it on purpose, not to tell the person as well sometimes, yeah? So it becomes like a bit of a, but because no one actually believes it, do they? And they know that. Anandpur Sahib resolution was a document for implementation that we fought for 6 years as a Qawm. Where's that resolution now? What's our Anandpur Sahib resolution for today? If the Punjab Sarkar has said that they're going to make Amritsar Pavitra Jaga, what they've sort of announced in the press over the last few weeks, yeah? But with the Amritsar, they've been quite careful and coy. They've said no, within a boundary of 300 metres or something. They haven't said the whole city. Yeah? So what's our Anandpur Sahib resolution now? What is it for us now? What are we actually fighting for? What are we... You know what all happened in the floods in Punjab, what keeps happening with the floods in Punjab, and we've got a mass exodus of all our people from Punjab leaving and coming to the west because they don't see any future there. I'm going to leave this one actually. I'm not going to do this one. Yeah. So we've done a lot of these points on here anyway, but I'm just going to go on some other points. Spiritual. Sorry, you can get the slides off button afterwards for this as well. Satbaniya daily, that's our Nitnem. If you take Amrit, you have to do anyway, that's your minimum. Yeah? But that doesn't mean they listen to Bhai Janal saying on super speed while you're tying your dastar. Yeah? It's like, what's going on here? Should have just told you about it to put the tape on as well. Just come out in about 10-15 minutes, huh? Because that's the sort of good six we've got, isn't it? Yeah? So I haven't got time to like do my Nitnem properly because I need to get to work. So, काम ते जाके मत्था टेक लो ना पैसे आनो या बॉस नो, है ना? वो तो पहले मत्था टेक लिया करो. गुरु साहब ने तो बाद मत्था टेकना कि Nitnem तो करना नहीं सही. If you get late for work, yeah, you call in sick, do your Nitnem. Who cares if you don't go to work? Guru Gobind Singh is not saying you need to go to work. He's saying, "Now look after you, do your Nitnem." Yeah, that's what he's actually saying. And he's Bhai Janal Singh, yeah, is the greatest Guru Sikh in the world at the moment, yeah? Because he's doing all your Nitnem for you. Yeah? That man's just getting free ticket to Sachkhand is, yeah? I think he's not happy with the super speed that you do though, yeah? So next time he comes on, get him to announce it, say you can't listen to Nitnem on this speed, yeah? So we'll go around, we'll do a hack on the internet, yeah, we'll do like a big hack on the internet, we'll delete all the super speed parts that are on there. Take care? So you better get it done before then. Anyway, so in terms of the spiritual, 3 hours is for Simran Amrit Villa. Yeah? So 3 hours is allocated for Simran. You could even say 5. So the Mahakal Nihang Singhs who get up at 12 a.m. For them you could say it's till 5 a.m. Yeah? 4.5 hours, whatever, yeah? Now the thing is, the reason I'm saying that is I'm going to back it up with Gurbani. Okay? So I'm going to go through a few shabds now. And these shabds, this one's specific to something, the other one is my personal choice, let's say, yeah? So, Gur Sadgur Kajo Sikha Khai So Palki Utharanam. So, Sri Guru Ramdas is saying that person who calls them a Sikh of the Guru, calls himself a Sikh of the Guru, what should they do? Palke. Palke actually, if you look at the word, it's a technical term. Palke means to wake up before dawn. Theek. It's a technical term in Gurbani. So, Palke here doesn't mean to wake up in the morning, let's be clear, because that's hard to change the English translation here, yeah? So it actually means before dawn. Theek. Palke ut haranam tiave. So what it's saying is, you get up at Amrit Vela and you do Simran. It's not telling you to do any Ishnan, it's not telling you to do anything, it's saying, first thing, wake up, do Simran. Now how you do that, you might do it in your bed, but if you get your covers on you while you're doing it, you're going to start falling asleep. So you have to get out of the bed, you might have to get a bit cold. So you do the Simran immediately when you wake up. That's what the Shabd's actually saying. Other people interpret this in a different way, but that's what the Shabd's actually saying. And other Gursikhs I know from different Jathbandiyas as well, a lot of them do this practice, but it's sort of weaning out now. People are not doing it anymore. So the reason you do it first thing is because the last thing before you go to sleep is supposed to be your soila, but then the first thing you think of is God and stop connecting again. Plus it's dark and your mind's not had a chance to run around or whatever it may be. Odam kare, palke parabhati, isnan kare, amrit saranave. Odam kare, you make an effort. Why do you make an effort? Because you possibly started falling asleep doing that Simran. So at the point where you start falling asleep, if you're a great Gursikh and you do 4 hours Simran just like that, then you're okay. But Odam kare, so when you start falling asleep, you just get up, make an effort, and not put your rajai back on yourself and think, oh, I've done 1 hour Simran, here's Amritullah, God will bless me, let's get another hour back in, yeah? Odam kare, palake prabhati. So if you love God really, you wouldn't put the rajai on. Yeah? So if you're watching the Champions League, you watch the full 90 minutes, you don't say, oh, 60 minutes, I'm tired now, let's go to sleep. You wouldn't do that, would you? So why are you doing that tomorrow? Yeah? So that's including in me, yeah. I do it a lot as well sometimes. But anyway, Odam kare, palake prabhati, isnan kare, amrit saranam. So you make an effort and then you do Ishnan. The Ishnan that you do at Amrit Vela counts as an Ishnan at Amrit Sar. So it actually counts as an Ishnan at Amrit Sar. So if you think you go all the way to India and fly all the way there and you do Ishnan at Amritsar, yeah, you can do it at home every day, but you have to think physically that you're doing Ishnan as well, like mentally, to get the fal. But I was lucky that my Banj Bera said to me, if you wake up on the and do Ishnan, you got Amritsar and the fal, so I'm taking that, yeah. I'm claiming that, yeah. I'm claiming that reward all day long. That's such kind of, yeah, saying you said that, so every day, yeah. Anyway, that doesn't mean that you got a free pass to do Palm. So that doesn't mean you do a bump and you think, oh, I've done Ishnan today, I'm going to start the Ishnan, so I can do the bump again, and then you get washed again. No, it's a slippery slope. That doesn't work like that, yeah. God's not stupid, yeah. You got a black mark there. Yeah, the black mark only goes away if you stop doing the sin. So it doesn't mean, oh, I'll do 5 japa saves and it's mark, and then do it again, I'll do 15, nah, you just got to stop. Upadesh Guru har jap jape, sab kilve paap dokh le jabe. So, the Upadesh of the Guru is that you should do Simran at all times. And if you do that Simran at all times, sab kilvik, all your grave sins, yeah. So kilvik is not like a normal barb, it's actually like a really bad barb. It might be that you raped someone, it might be that you cut your case, it might be that you ate meat and your Banj Bera said you can't eat meat and you drank shrab, or you took 50 grams of bang, I don't know, yeah, or cocaine, whatever it may be, yeah. So kilvik is something really bad, yeah. So what it's saying is, if you do this Simran, your worst of the worst sins that you've done, and all your diseases and ailments, they'll all go away, yeah, and all your dukh will go away. So what it's actually saying is, if you do Simran properly, you won't have any problems. Fir chale devs gurbani gaave. So up to this point, Maharaj just talked about Naam Japana, not talked about anything else, just Naam Japana to this point. And then they say, Fir chale devs. So when dawn breaks, then you can sing Gurbani Gaave, then you can do the part. So what it's actually saying is, you can only do the part, really, if you follow the schedule of this Shabad, is you only start the part when the day breaks. Because during Amrit Vela, when it's dark, you can still concentrate on the Simran. There's no one moving around in the house, there's nothing going around in the world, there's no noise from outside, yeah? So you can concentrate, but then when the world starts with daybreak, then you read the part, because then you can just concentrate on that, it's easier then. And then throughout the day, whatever you do, sitting, standing, you should do Naam Japana all the time with it. So if you do 2.5 hours Simran in the morning, and you do it properly, more than likely your 24 hours will just start. Yeah? So your Simran, if you do it with your swas, it'll probably just go into your swas, and you'll automatically stop doing Simran all day long. That's not like me saying a big budget, that's basically just a given with Guru Sikhi. If you do it properly, those things happening. Okay? So the next shabd I'm going to go through. What's going on with this water? Is it leaking? It's leaking. The jug's leaking. Let's get a lead on it. It's not a cup. But so this shabd, the reason I put this shabd in it, so obviously Guru Granth Sahib Chala, so the Angana. So for this, you could have taken any shabd, let's say, yeah. But I wanted to bring in one that related to going home, in terms of the topic of the shabd, in terms of like spirituality. So Sarag Mahalla Panjma, so Sikh Guru Harjinder ji, do pade, 2 verses, Kar Chal Kharasta Surat Al Fatah, Ek Oankar, Ek Parmeshwar Jo Sabda Prakash, which means God who illuminates everything. Sadgur Prasad is realized by the true Guru's grace. Mohan Kar Abahu. Mohan, what it means is my beloved. That's what it means, yeah? Kar, home, Abu. My beloved God, come to my home. Karo Jodariya. I'm doing a Jodari. I'm begging you, come to my house. Okay? So if you take the Amrit Villa, if you think, yeah, you're getting a date, you're getting let's rephrase that because you people are going to take it wrong, yeah? You're getting a restaurant meal with the biggest celebrity in the world, yeah, that you believe in, that you love. Would you miss it? Yes or no? Would you miss it? No. Yeah? So Amrit Villa is your dinner date with God every day. Okay? So if you don't go to that and then the door shut to Sachkhand at 5 a.m, yeah, or when the day rises, then you've missed the one point in the day where you could have got to God, yeah, where He's actually sitting at the table waiting for you to come. So if you don't go to the table and make love to Him in terms of the Simran, then you're missing that dinner date every day. That's the way to take it as an analogy. I had to change the word from date because a lot of people just think dating. Anyway, Mohan Kari Avaho. So the Benti is, come to my home. Now, the complexity of it is that God's really within us, which we're going to describe afterwards in another Shabdan from Dasan Pasha. Man karo, abhimanne bolo. Yeah? So I act out in pride. Yeah? And then I speak in pride. So it's saying basically my whole life is engrossed in ego. ठीक है? Pool joke teri prechiriya. But this is when you're doing over God. You're doing a little slight like negotiation. But you're saying, pool joke, whatever mistakes I make, I'm still yours. Yeah. So God forgives any mistake that we make, doesn't He? We all know that. ठीक है? So what it's saying is, even though I'm full of hankar, and even though I'm doing these wrong things, but I'm yours, and you can't get out of that deal. Yeah? So he's saying, actually help me. Yeah? So whatever I've done, you know what I've done, but you need to help me. You know how bad I am, or how good I am, whatever it may be. So if you say you're good, then you get into the maan karo, abhimanne bolo. ठीक है? Pool joke teri prechiriya. Pool joke is the thing that's going to get you there. The humility to say, actually I'm in the wrong because I haven't met you yet. Nikat suno, so I hear that God is nearby. Arpe khonai, but I can't see you. ठीक है? So there's another short verse, Bhagavad Naam Dev, you're thinking, it says, Haath pe nere. Ke hathan to nere ya Parmeshwar. That's how close He is. Yeah? Param dukh pariya. Yeah? What He's saying is, I'm full of doubts, and those doubts are causing me to be in anguish and sorrow. Yeah? So that's what my mental situation is. So I've heard that you're nearby, but I can't see you. Yeah, so He's playing hide and seek with you. He's behind the curtain, but the curtain is not being drawn, has it? Hoye kirpal gur lahe pardo. So when He blesses us, then He opens that curtain. ठीक है? Milo lal man hariya. And when I meet my beloved, lal means beloved. Yeah, so like the color red, yeah? Man hariya, my mind blossoms forward. ठीक है? Some of these, actually it's not on this shot, okay. Ek nimak je bisre swami. So saying when I meet Him, how did I meet Him? So you'd ask, how did you meet Him then? Ek nimak je bisre swami. If I forget that God for my husband Lord for 1 second, Kot dinas lakh bariya. It's like hundreds of thousands of days. Yeah? That's what it feels like to me if I forget God for 1 second. So if you get to that state of feeling that you can never forget Him, and you've got to remember Him all times, then he'll do the Hoy Kirpal Guru Lahi Pardo, Milo Lal Man Hariya. So the solutions afterwards, but it's to get to that, yeah? But then it's the second part now here, Sad Sangat Ki Peer Jo Pai, To Nanak Har Sang Vidya, yeah? So when I came into the Sad Sangat, so what the Sad Sangat in this is, anytime you do Naam Japana, even if you listen to Katha on your phone, even listen to Kirtan, yeah? To Nanak Har Sang Vidya, but it's got to be Sad Sangat. So it's not you going to a rent spy and walking out to Langar Hall doing 55 juggling and then going back and banging some WhyGuru. We've all done it, yeah? The Langar Hall should be banned, I think, in rent spy, yeah? Let's just put some badam outside the Langar Hall, some shule, yeah? Yeah? And just lock the door, yeah? Now, that's with all smagums, yeah? I'm not having a go rent spy, yeah? Let's be clear, yeah? Before let's not get attacked by someone, yeah? That's all smagums. So, if you can, when you come to the Gurdwara, even these talks, leave 2 minutes before it ends. Why? Because then you've not got into the trouble of someone doing a juggling in here. You've walked out, you keep the bliss, maintain the bliss. However you have to maintain the bliss. Like at the Barsiya, I'm the one who walks out after the Ragmala, or like before the Jap starts to find Punch Burner, they were like, oh, here he goes. And I know, because if I stay there, I'm just going to hear 50 juggling. And you can't stop because you go somewhere in the Langar Hall or you go to a store. Before you know it, someone said something to you. You can't control other people's mouths, can you? But you can control yourself. So if you want to start making into like a constant high, you can like build in strategies like that. To say I'm not going to talk to anyone. And the worst people are usually other Gursikhs. Yeah? So you have to then try surrounding yourself around people who won't do these things, or stop blocking them on your phone, like I've started doing with people, because I've cut them out of your life, yeah? So you have to do that. And I'm one of the worst juggle calls, by the way, yeah? Any information's come to me, yeah, it'll be on my black book, yeah? I'll bring out the page on anyone, yeah? But anyway, Sad Sangat Ki Peer Jo Pai, To Nanak Har Sang Vidya. So he's saying, if I develop the love for the Sad Sangat, of being in Sad Sangat at all times, so Sat Sangat kaisi jani, jithe eko naam khani hai, jithe eko naam da khana na ya, understanding it, japana, katha hobe, that's where Sad Sangat is. After that, if you do anything outside of that, then it's not Sad Sangat. Let's be clear, yeah? What it's saying is, if you do that Sad Sangat correctly, Nanak Har Sang Vidya, then you meet God. And then the second thing is never forget Him at any point. And if you do the Simran right, Aramat Villa, the Swa Simran will start 24 hours a day. It will start. That's a given. It's not like a cheat code. It will happen. So our spiritual life is the priority. Make it, set your priorities. That is your life's purpose. That's what Guru Sahib says again and again in Gurbani. So Guru Sahib, you know how we all use this little analogy. Kirtan karo, naam japo, vand shako. Find those 3 golden rules in any Prarthana Granth. Because I haven't found them to this day. I haven't found them. I haven't found him in Nanak Prakash. I haven't found him in Bhai Balla's Janam Sakhi. I haven't found them. That's not to say they're bad rules, but we use those 3 rules to get stuck in the world. Maharaj did say do Satchdi Kamai, but Maharaj in Gurbani is saying Satchdi Kamai is just Naam Japana. If you look at Gurbani, that's what all Gurbani is saying. And then if you look at Guru Sahib's lives, then Guru Sahib actually, when Grestis like you, Guru Sahib left his wife at home, went and Yatra for 40 years. Yeah? Guru Tegh Bahadur didn't come back for Guru Dasam Pasha's avatar, just stayed in Assam. Said, it doesn't matter. I'll see you when you're 6 years old. Yeah? You would be kicked out of the house by your wife if you did that. Yeah? You wouldn't even know that you'd be like saved by a solicitor with your divorce papers, huh? So we can make comparisons to the Gurus, but we don't reflect those comparisons. So it's a weak argument to use that argument, if that makes sense, yeah? So we have to be very careful. Gurbani is telling us something and we usually don't listen. And we make up excuses around that. So Gurbani is very clear about what it's saying to us repeatedly. Mental intellectual development. So how do we develop our buddhi? The first thing that all of us have to do is stop sinning. You know the sinning that you do. When I get animated, I start swearing a lot. Yeah? That's a sin. Yeah? So the thing is, whatever that sin is, whatever it is for you on your trajectory to get to God, you have to stop doing that. That's the simple path, yeah? Increase your meditation so you can never do enough. Let's be clear, yeah? It doesn't matter if you're doing the 2.5 hours, You can do 15 hours yet, it's never going to be enough. Guru Gobind Singh sat at Hemkund Sahib, Jali Jug. Guru Nanak sat at Manikaran, Kinne Jug. Tikya, Nome Pasha sat 26 years, was it, in the Pura? You can't compete, yeah, and you can never do enough. Reflection and contemplation of Gurmani, this is something that all of us suffer in. We don't actually, this becomes a practice of reading the Satabaniya, but we're not reflecting what they're teaching us, or contemplating what they're teaching us. So we have Amrit Vela Sach Now, Vadiyai Vichar. So a lot of us will do Amrit Vela Sach Now, we'll do the Nam Japana, we'll do the Vadiyai is singing Gurbani, singing his praises. Vichar, we don't get to the Vichar part, majority of us. And even if we listen to the Katha, we're not usually reflecting what the Katha is in terms of our own Jivan. So if you think you like this, if you go to work, you have a performance plan. If you don't meet your targets, you don't get paid or you get disciplined. What's your performance plan for your Sikhi? Have you got one? बस अमृत शक्ल हाँ मेरे सचखंड की सीट बुक होगी चल कोई चल मेरे भाई ब्याह करो दो न्याणे बनाओ कर लो तो चलो सचखंड. Yeah, it's not that simple. Guru Sahib saying I want you to be meditating every second of the divine wisdom. So divine wisdom is contained within Gurbani Sat Brahm Gyan. Keep searching inside. So you have to look outside, but inside as well. Inside is where we're going to find God, and peel away the layers of your intellect. So it's like a brainwashing process of brainwashing yourself to divine wisdom. So at certain points you won't agree with what's there, and your mind will fight against it. But you have to slowly peel that away. So this is a shabda now from Dasan Parchar from Akal Ustad. And I had to change the translation because the translation was actually wrong. I was quite shocked with it. And then we looked at the Punjabi translation. Luckily the Punjabi was right. So then I got some confidence to actually put it on here and change the English. जैसे एक आग दे कनुका कोट आग उठे न्यारे. So it's saying from one spark of fire. Yeah, from one spark of fire, other fire can get lit, and you can basically have a complete blaze. You could have like a forest fire, let's say. Yeah. न्यारे न्यारे होए के फिर आग में मिलाएंगे. Yeah. Now I've had problems with splitting these Bangti up because it was Unicode, so I couldn't put the Vishnams in the right way. Yeah. So someone who knows Santia, don't beat me up. Yeah. So I just couldn't get the fonts to work. Anyway, so a spark of fire's got lit, then it's made a massive blaze. Yeah. Nyare nyare hoye ke, and then those sparks of fire, even the big blaze, they split away. Fir aag mein milahenge. Yeah. They merge back into the same fire. So what it's saying is millions of sparks of fire, but then they go back into a small flame of fire. Is what it's saying. Yeah. So they recede. So from a small spark made into a blaze, and then it recedes back into it. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it's giving the same sort of analogy now for everything on here. जैसे एक दूर पे अनेक दूर उड़त है. So from one piece of speck of dust that flies up, you get a dust storm, let's say, and then from the dust storm you get a tornado as well, and then that eventually recedes and recedes, and the dust just falls back on the floor. ठीक है? जैसे एक नाद ते तरंग कोट उपचित है, पान के तरंग सबे पान ही कहाएंगे. So it's saying how from water you get a small ripple, the small ripple becomes a wave, and then it might turn into a sea storm. ठीक है? That sea storm then recedes back into waves, and then back into ripple, and goes back and calms again. ठीक है? तैसे विश्व रूप ते, so the whole of creation, yeah, अपूत पूत प्रगट होए, yeah. So the whole of creation gets created, yeah, and then the elements come about. ताही ते उपज सबे ताही में समाहेंगे, yeah, and then everything that got created in creation goes back into God. ठीक है? So what it's actually teaching us here in Akal Ustad, it's actually saying at the start you were God, are the such, yeah, and then happy such Nanak Hosi such at the end. Yeah? So it's saying first it was God, at the end it was God. Now the problem we have is because we're stupid, yeah, we start saying I am God without the knowledge. So to actually get to the point of realizing things, we have to do enough Brahma Bhakti and have an intellect to actually develop this and understand it. And in Kal Yuga, it's really scary teaching people these concepts, so I stay away from them publicly now if I can, because the person needs to be deserving of the wisdom, otherwise it's wasted on them, isn't it? So they have to know how to handle it, let's say. So there's a Shabad where it says, Panda toe tu vestevo, to du ko javo. Yeah? So it's saying you have a panda, and if you're going to take it to milk, you have to wash it, you have to clean it, you have to scent it, and then the milk might settle in it. In the same way, you have to clean your intellect, you have to settle it, and then the gyan might get behind you. So you can hear these same words and hear these bouncing over and over again, but one day they might actually click into the right place and you understand it. Okay? So that's it, we're done nearly. Oh, 1 hour, not bad. So action plan 350 years on, you create your Anand. So if you say Anandpur Devasi, Anand means bliss. Yeah? So how are you going to become a person who lives in bliss at all times? So that's what the people who live in Anandpur are supposed to be. They're not supposed to be having Gurdwara fights over elections and committees and golaks. Yeah? They're supposed to be displaying how to lead in the world. That's what they're supposed to be. But they don't reflect the Anand of Gurbani. That's why those things happen. Man abhiman ne bollo, that was the shabd, wasn't it? So they're speaking Hankar, yeah? Let's reclaim our physical, spiritual Anand, a place of mystics, poets, warriors and sovereigns. That's what Anandpur Sahib was. Okay? And today when we go, there's a very low population actually in Anandpur Sahib who lives there permanently. So if you live in Anandpur Sahib, you get to know everyone basically. That's how few people live there. And it's like a travelling city, so people come and go all the time. Right? Make it an internal one, so an eternal Anand that you have at all times, that never runs out. Any questions? I am done. Should we turn the live off or keep it on for the questions? I'm not bothered. It's just people want more comfortable not being on the live. Question.
Do you know that Pangti you had
Yeah.
Just turn back to that one.
Oh man, where is it? It's not here, is it? There it is. There it is.
That's it at the bottom there. Man karo abhimanne bolo. So the man bit is the pride, and the abhimanne, is that pride as well?
It is really, Hannah. But Abhiman usually is like more around sin. So usually it's pride, but it's so man is like it could be respect, Hannah.
Oh yeah.
So man could be like I respect you. I've got man on you.
Yeah.
God. Yeah. So it's sort of saying that I've got man on you, that you're going to help me.
So that's the.
But I'm wrong because I speak in Hankar and I speak in sin.
Right. Arrogance.
Yeah. Do you get it?
Arrogance.
Yeah. So the English is quite simplified, isn't it? But yeah, so you can go into a bit more, isn't it? Hanji?
2 questions. One that's directly related and one that's probably, that was a space where a lot of the Guru Sikhs would display their sort of, warfare tactics. But the bit that seems to be missing from that is the strategy discussions that happen afterwards. So I was curious as to why has that fallen away? Is there a reason for that?
1 second. Sorry. Everyone